Over the years, I've been known to enjoy collecting things, from Gundams to Lego sets and the occasional well-crafted figurine. But one consistent has always been my Spawn collection. Todd McFarlane Spawn was always one of my favorite comic characters because he was approached so differently. And when I started getting into serious drawing and anatomy studies, his figure was perfect. He represented the perfect combo of form and freedom and really let me learn how the body worked and express new ways to try and draw. But here lately, I've kind of hit a creative slump. And so I thought to myself, why not go back to Old Faithful? Why not try something you haven't drawn in literal years and see if you can still pull it off and can still do what you used to do? So, let's see if I can. As with most drawings, I started with the basic figure to get a feel for the character I was drawing. Now, what you'll see here is the result of several attempts at putting a figure together that felt right. I scrapped so many designs until I finally settled on this one. I'll just start with basic body shapes until it feels right, and then start building the muscle and form around it. With the basic form set in, I moved on to working on the Cowl and Cape. Now, the Cape is one of the most fun forms to draw with Spawn because it's a lot of very linear movements with the pencil, just very expressive, straightforward shapes, and you can really accomplish a lot with just simple pen movements. Some of the details like the spikes and skull bits, as well as the chains, can be a bit tedious and annoying at times, but you can also be really expressive and creative with them and add a lot of detail to the piece. remember what I said about tedious and annoying? This chain design was the simplest I could come up with, just following along, creating links one at a time. I could have been a little more dynamic with the angles and maybe made it a bit more interesting, but you know, chains are hard. And with that, we have our basic drawing and can finally move on to adding some ink to this bad boy. Now I just used 2 pens for this, a thicker pen for the outliner, I think it was a 0.2, and a 0.005 micron for some smaller details. Along the way, you'll notice that not all of the details are there to begin with, and some details stray from the line because, you know, sometimes creative interpretation comes in late in the game. Just go with it. If you just so happen to notice that the magic floaty hand hadn't been inked, don't worry, it was completely on purpose. I've got a special plan for that one. This drawing is going to rely on heavy cast shadows, and our magic floating hand is going to be the glowing source of light. Now, I wanted the hand to be visible in the glowing orb, so as I started erasing small details of the line, I went back in with the color that was supposed to outline it and slowly filled in the details a bit at a time. After the hand was outlined, I went in for the glowing aura around it. I filled in with a color and then faded it out with a colorless blender. In retrospect, I kind of wish I hadn't done this, but I think the overall effect still worked out. Once I had my glowing light source, I could go in with a pencil and outline all of my darkened shadow areas. That way I had a perfect outline before I went straight to ink. With everything outlined, I filled it in with black ink to create a more dramatic shadow effect. Once I got all the shadow effects finished and cleaned up, I moved on to the reflective tones and then eventually to color. I started with the lighter tones, working my way back to shadows and just filling it in slowly, a little bit at a time. All the colors you see here are Prismacolor markers. They're very old and quite frankly I don't remember which colors I used. As I was going, I just picked the ones that fit the shade I was trying to achieve. I had to run a massive test sheet beside the drawing to make sure I had the right colors. One of my favorite tricks and the best one that I ever learned is once you're done with inking and coloring, go back in with some white ink or a white gel pen to add highlights to your metallic effects. And with that, we can wrap this up. Now, time for a dramatic reveal. And there you have it. Spawn in all his pride and glory. Now, like I said earlier, there are things about this drawing I'm not proud of, but overall, I'm thoroughly thrilled with how this turned out. I have not done a drawing like this in I don't even know when. I was worried I could even still pull something like this off. And so this was just very reassuring, and honestly it got me back in the creative spirit. I can't wait to make more projects like this. And if you want to see more projects like this, if you want to see more sculptures like I did before, click the subscribe button, hit a like. Let me know that this works for you, and hopefully we can keep bringing you content like this soon. But until then, see you guys.